Okay, we are live.
There we
It's
go.
on.
Okay.
All good. All right. After some technical difficulties, appreciate you walking me through that. So we are up and live now. Thank you and welcome to Coffee with Coach Candice, where we are talking about business and mental wellness alike during this era that we are currently in. Joining me today is Thomas Berry. Welcome and thank you.
Hey.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am the program director at Black Civic Network, former educator, father of three, originally from South Bend, Indiana. What else can I say about myself? Man, you know what? I really don't spend a lot talking about myself, but community organizer, activist, writer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, huh?
Yeah, man, because if I think it, I do it.
All right. So you're an executionary. That's what you do. You execute.
I'm one of those people that believe if you think it, you can do it. And
And
why not try it?
I agree with that. It's all about manifestation, right? You got to think
Thank
it
you.
first. You got to believe in yourself.
Exactly.
All right. So today, I know you said you had a couple topics you want to discuss. So what's on your brain?
Well, man, I think we were talking about we've been kind of like having these chats about online dating and the whole phenomenon behind that. And I was saying, it's crazy that we got this going on during this quarantine times, and we're really enjoying it. I've even seen the commercial with Common Sense and Sister Tiffany Haddish
Right.
telling someone else. While I thought the commercial was corny, um, I thought it was corny because we already know they've been dating. And it's not like it's something, these are millionaires. If they want to be with each other, they go get the corona test and they'll quarantine with each other if they want to. But I would certainly like to see more of our people take this time to create apps to actually host the dating forums. Because I feel like, before the corona outbreak, everyone was still talking about the dating atmosphere and every metropolitan it is. Everyone's controlling, whether it's the men talking about the women or the women talking about the men. They want to meet other people in other metropolitans and other countries or what have you. So I figured that, this would be a perfect time for our people to create this app and really explore it.
All right. So what my take from that is pretty much create a stream of income for our community.
Well, I mean, first you got to create the stream of income for yourself before you give it to the community.
Oh, for sure, for
But
sure. But I mean, creating income for oneself. The hope is that you deposit it within the community, right?
no, certainly, my main thing is just simply this. I definitely want you to deposit into the community, but I also feel like we have to start benefiting up. We got to start what I call weaponizing or politicizing our love. If you don't politicize or weaponize your love, then you really don't have much of a love life. And what my brother Adrian Mack and his wife call it, an interruption of intimacy, of blackness among white folks, because you go into their dating apps and then they're putting you with people that they feel like you're the most compatible with. Notice, even if you go to blackpeoplemeet.com, for women, you see white men inside of blackpeoplemeet.com. For brothers, you see white women inside of blackpeoplemeet.com. If you're going to blackpeoplemeet.com, clearly the only people you want to meet is who?
Black
Black
people.
people. So you have that interruption there because they're in the midst of all of that. And then they know that people are looking to meet other black folks, so they're controlling that aspect of it. They're also not really doing a good compatibility check, if you ask me. I just feel like we have to monopolize it. If we're the main ones screaming out that we have a necessity, it should be us that delivers that product to each other and
All
benefit
right,
of it.
that makes sense. So how would one go about doing that? Because apps are not cheap
Apps are not
at
cheap,
all.
but you can definitely get with a few developers in your town. I think I was gonna, for my speed dating events, Cup Vibe and Ghost, I was gonna develop an app just for that, Cup Vibe and Ghost, where we were gonna throw an event, and what we were gonna do is we're gonna throw like a hotel event for a weekend, and everyone was gonna be able to get the app. And then what happens is you meet the people that's inside of the event. You can choose whether you want to. Well, cuff means that, hey, this is the person that you definitely want to be with. And if you're vibing with a person, that means that's somebody that you can exchange some information with. You can talk a little bit with. And ghost means that you don't want no contact with that person. Now, that person doesn't know that they're ghosted, so there's no way to put a woman or a man in danger where they're confronted based off of the ghosting. But the main thing would have been in this event, now you know who's interested in you. And when it's a mutual interested, it'll ping up and say, hey, this person wants to vibe with you, or this person's, really interested in you. They want to cuff you. And then you guys can go from there. But I feel like that's the way it has to be. I know on Facebook, they're doing a great job of monitoring behavioral ways on Facebook. So if you don't understand why there's certain people that's always liking your post, it's because Facebook know that they are always looking at your account, at your account. They know that they're always looking at your photos or what have you. So they're always going to show your photos to those people. That's what drives those people to keep staying on Facebook. So you're getting some of the same people always commenting on your page, commenting on your posts. Man, those people are really checking out your profile a lot. I know people say it's just a like or it's just a heart, but my inbox, I can show you that that's not the case.
Let me find out, Thomas.
Right? Look, this is new information to me. Okay.
I gotta double back on the Facebook app now and pay more attention.
Right? That's your welcome, Adrian. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, I did not know that. I mean, I understood that there was some kind of algorithm with who the suggested friends are, but I didn't know that it had anything to do with the likes and comments.
And they're looking. And they're looking.
How who shows up and who's in the DM.
They're
I know that there was also some talk. So how do you suggest kind of coping through COVID with dating? Because dating is hard right now with the whole social distancing, right?
Yeah, what I told you is sisters be like the first to line up to get played, man. Because online dating to me is crazy. Like I just don't understand, how you trust people that you really don't know. And you guys get emotionally, it's hard to get out of an emotional bond with a person, right? You can meet somebody physically and be like, hey, that's just not it. But when you get your emotions hooked onto a person, that's almost next is your spirit, after that. So I know that everyone is doing the online dating right now, and they're doing the dates, and I have no issue with doing dates, but what I would always say to people is do it with people you're familiar with. I wouldn't recommend doing it with a total stranger, somebody you've never met personally or haven't had some type of connection before COVID. I wouldn't do it. And the reason why is typically when I'm always hearing sisters talk about the adventures of online dating, it's always these horror stories because it was all good until COVID is done and now you got to meet this person. What happens when you spent the past, 6 weeks to 6 months or a year emotionally getting tied to a person, then it's over and the stimulation is done. Then what do you do? Because somebody's still going to be one. What'd you say, Adrian?
I was gonna say, how do you get the service though? Oh, my bad, Candice.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how do you keep a surface though? Because I know like a lot of people like to say like when you're dating online, and people be like, well, you're talking to a stranger. And they're like, well, when you're dating in real life, you're talking to a stranger. But I don't feel like it's the same because obviously you guys have a mutual interest in something if y'all meet at a mutual location or a mutual place. So right there, you already have that connection. But when you're dating online, it's just total like the only thing you have in common is that you are on Facebook or you're on said social media platform or whatever. But it's like, how do you really keep it surface if you are going to be dating online because of this COVID situation without getting too deep? Because I feel like it breeds that, it breeds the opportunity to be more, deep, because you're always online. You can't escape Facebook unless you delete the Facebook app. I could be at a bar and dude talking, I'm like, yeah, no, and leave the bar, right? So
I agree. No, I agree with you. I feel like people kind of forget that there's something with the human interaction that can't be beat. You can, it's the body language, it's the spirit, it's the energy, it's the whole thing that you get. And when you get online, that energy can be masked. People can be whoever they want to be through their profile. Sort of like dating the avatar. You know what I'm saying? You think the avatar is sexy? Well, how do you know the person? So that's why I told Candice, I said, man, sisters be the first to line themselves up to get played, because they'll hop into this new dating phenomenon because it's cute, right? Tiffany Haddish did it with Common, who she was dating before they were even having the COVID situation. So that's why I was saying that I thought it was corny, because I was like, they were already dating. That's different than meeting somebody online and then you get into the scenario, right? Because if I don't know you and you don't know me, I can tell you anything. Yeah, Adrian got to unmute that thing.
But in reality, though, can that happen whether you meet somebody online or you meet somebody at the grocery store?
It can happen at the grocery store or online, but you always want to mitigate your risk. We're talking business, right? And we know that love is connected to, business, because if your love life ain't right, it might stop your money.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that you got your mind and your heart right. So, you can actually feel if something's not right. If it's face to face, you can understand the energy that shifted. But when you're talking about something that's synthetic, such as online dating, you really can't feel that.
Yeah, because you can write anything out.
Certainly. Or somebody else can write it out for you.
Somebody else can write it for you, and it's up to the person to feel how they interpret. But if you're in front of me, I can pick up on, there's some social cues I can pick up on, like, why, when you said that, your voice got kind of low. You lying? You this? You know what I'm saying?
All right. So again, I'm going to play a devil's advocate, because there's Zoom, right? There's Facebook Messenger, Duo. There's all kind of different apps where you can have a conversation where you can see those verbal cues, right? Where you can hear the different variations of the voice tone. I'm just saying.
No, that's
thinking. And I'm thinking on the other hand, like right now, we all stuck in the house. Mm-hmm. So if old boy was married, those conversations have kind of depleted, right?
No.
So then we can ask those questions. If you're in a relationship.
Hold on, not necessarily. Wait a minute now.
Okay. Tell me.
Put me on game right now.
Not necessarily. Because a lot of those conversations can take place when everybody ain't locked up in the house. The wife can go to the stove. The wife can be at work, and he can be talking to you for a period of time. You don't necessarily know. Here's the thing. Some of us are inside of the house. Not all of us. Some of us are essential workers. The other side of it too is people can I always say this all the time. You don't know what arrangements people got inside of their marriages. Some wives don't mind if their husband step out. Why people always play the gotcha games? Like, listen, some wives don't care because she done stepped up. They might have an open marriage. I know a successful couple here inside of the Twin Cities. They got an open marriage. Sometimes you see them out together. Sometimes you see them out and the wife is with some other guy or the husband with some other girl. That's their business. So you never know exactly, you may not be aware that he's married, but he's aware.
I think too, that speaks to definitely like people might project what they are. People will project on somebody else what the expectation is. Like, for me, like, I grew up seeing in a household with two married with married parents, and I never seen my dad sleep out. Never seen him coming late in times of the night and stuff like that. But I was actually dating a dude who I didn't know was married. Dude would spend the night hanging out, kicking it with me, and I'm just like, to me, I'm like in my head, yeah, you're not married because you're spending the night, right? No, that's not what it was. And so when it was like I experienced some cognitive dissonance, I'm like, hold on now, wait, what type of woman gonna let her man sleep out? But it's like when that happened, I had to really step back and say, like, yeah, you're projecting what your ideal thoughts of what a marriage looks like based on how you grew up.
Right.
This ain't it.
And that's how it is when you online date.
Mm-hmm.
You're projecting what you are hoping that the other person is reciprocating, which doesn't always mean reciprocation. You know, because it's easy to send you a text. It's easy. Y'all get the good morning text from like half a dozen cats already. You getting a good morning,
So
beautiful,
again,
good morning, queen text. How hard is it to send you a message online?
so again, I don't think that's just happening during this time. I think this was happening before COVID, right? So I don't necessarily see the downfall of online dating.
You know,
That's my thought.
I would say I wouldn't necessarily say there is a downfall, because I feel like at the end of the day, you're going to do what you feel comfortable with doing, right?
Definitely.
You know, if you feel like you striking out in life, if you strike out online, you're like, well, hey, what's the least I got to lose? However, like I said before, you always want to mitigate your risk. So you always want to see exactly, you know, what is the highest, you know, chance of success rate. And that's what I would recommend going with. Me personally, I like I said before, I think that we should monopolize it. Personally, if that's what our people are going to be doing, you have to adjust. We didn't do that with hip hop. That's why a lot of our Black radio stations got shut down, because they were refusing to play hip hop while white radio stations were playing it. So the same thing I would say about the dating phenomenon. You know, we need to, you know, before Facebook, we had BlackPlanet.com.
Yes, we
And
did.
Black Planet didn't adjust with the times and open up. Even if they would have changed the name, you know, it would have definitely had more people in it, and people are still pretty much doing what they were doing on Facebook. Black Planet was virtually a dating site. Folks was going on there, hooking up.
What's crazy is that I was kicked off of Facebook a couple of weeks ago. I was in Facebook jail because I said American people are stupid. And so I was like, I'm taking my time to Black Planet. I'm not going to play on this with Mark Zuckerberg. And I went on Black Planet, and Black Planet is literally a dating app. It literally looks like Bumble, or like
it is
like a dating app. And I was like what is happening? Because it's not what I'm used to from old, you know, Black Planet. And it was a whole bunch of Black folks on there. And it's literally a dating app now. That's it.
It is, you know. And I bet it's probably not even owned by Black people, though. You know, it has
probably not.
You know, so that's why we got to monetize it, and we really got to take it to a different level. But then we also have to learn how to be more savvier with online dating too. So that's why I always say, you know, you just elevate it. You know, I don't have an issue with it because I don't do it. So, you know, I really can't tell you whether or not I'm a more of a face-to-face person. If I see you in person, I like you, you gonna know. You know, I'm very assertive. So, you know, I'm gonna let you know whether I like you, and if I don't like you, I just keep it moving.
So how are you maneuvering during these times for the past, what is it about 2 months now?
You talking about
how you maneuvering with those? Excuse me.
You talking about like on dating or whatever? What are you talking about?
Like how are you maneuvering with individuals that you might be interested in?
I think if I was already interested in you before COVID, I guess I would, you know, for me, I'm just keeping moving the same way. You know, everybody has a lockdown, and what, you know, if I talk to you over the phone, I'm talking to you over the phone. You know, I'm more of a old school phone type of person. You know, you just try to keep communication, but I'm also I'm aware of myself that I can only be stimulated so far. So, you know, you just got to keep it low key. You know what I'm saying? It's been a trying 6 weeks, trust me, on the physical side, but on the mental side, you know, you just try to make sure you keep communication open with people. And you know, I think really right now, if you are interested in anyone, you just want their well-being to be intact, you know?
Right. Definitely. So with all that, like, how are you managing your self-care?
My self-care, man, you know, me and my son was just talking about this the other day. You know, he played college football, so he's here with me finishing up his senior year. He got sent home from school because they had to shut down. So, you know, I told him, hey man, I need you to work me out like how y'all was working out in football. Let me get back in that way. And then on the mental aspect, I still, you know, hop in the kitchen and bake sometimes. I'm still doing my work with Black Civic Network. So as long as I'm staying connected with the community, making sure that we're trying to get a new normal because the old normal wasn't right before COVID. I'm still working from home. I'm still when I do get out, I go see my mother and my family to make sure that they're okay. I've got a chance to see a couple of my buddies, real quick. And so, just doing the bare minimum. What I'm trying not to do is put myself in isolation because one of the things that I keep reading from these doctors is that isolation is why most people are dying. And, when you think about who we are as Black people, around the globe, man, we're social people. So we need each other. We really vibe off each other in a strong way. So if we lose that connection from each other, man, we pretty much do die off. And that's part of the reason why most people who have mental health issues, that's why they're isolated.
I would agree with that. There's increase of suicides during this time, depression, stress related, anxiety. So yes, emotions are undesirable right now, and they're all over the place. And for individuals that are like, so you can be with people. What's that?
People are like vampires that be up all night to like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You know people like that?
I do. I certainly do. I am one of those individuals. But I was saying that we can be isolated but still be around people, right? Certainly. So we can still be in a house full of folks, but we want to be by ourselves and isolate and withdraw from what's going on in the current world. So how do we ensure that we're not in doing that with intention, as well as our loved ones aren't doing that? Right? How do we check up on those individuals to make sure that they're good?
I say balance. That's what technology, we're using the technology in so many different ways these days. If you could use it to date, you could use, FaceTime, to check on your loved ones as well. And use the technology as much as you can. And those, my motto has been, if I was around you right before the outbreak or even like during the outbreak, I've kind of been around the same people, right? I haven't switched up the people. There's no new people that I've been around since the outbreak. It's all the people that I've been dealing with before the outbreak. So if they got it, I got it, or, if I got it, they got it. But for the most part, we're all mostly healthy. And, we all been kind of practicing the same rituals to make sure that we're staying healthy as much as possible, getting our steam on, making sure we're getting our intake of vitamin C, making sure that we're exercising in some form of fashion, just to make sure you're staying motivated. And if you do feel sick, what I tell people, if you feel like you got a shortness of breath, get your steam treatment on, man, get that steam going on in your nose, and then also get up and move around. Don't sit still, just move as much as possible. And that's what we've been motivating each other to do consistently, because everyone that I've talked to in some form of fashion have had some type of cold, some type of ache, some type of headache, some type of what have you, that they might be like, yo, I got that corona, man. So, every issue now, you got a runny nose, man, and you got corona, right?
Right.
I'm telling you, like, I had to really remind myself, I have, like, around this time, Facebook actually helped me too. I have allergies around this time. And it was crazy because my head was hurting so bad. I just had this pain right here. And I'm like, Lord, please, God, just don't. And I went on Facebook. And, when you look back in your memories, like around the same time, I had memories saying, oh, my gosh, my face hurts or I have headaches or something. I'm like, okay, this is normal around this time of the year. And then another time, I was just like totally like, I was dehydrated. Dehydrated because it's like trying to get used to this new way of being. I'm over here trying to teach my son. I'm over here trying to work from home, and I'm just forgetting to do things that I usually normally do because I'm at home. And I had to really like, hey, you still got to drink water, even though you're in the crib. You still have to drink water, like even though you're not up moving around, going from house to house and stuff like that. You still got to take time to drink water. Don't forget to eat. I forget to eat real quick.
So my question to you, Adrian, is how are you making sure that you are keeping on a healthy regimen?
I literally wrote down a routine and then I had to adjust it when this whole COVID thing started. So I've been like trying to follow the routine. Like I got all these things up around me. I have like my son's distance learning routine going and written down, and just also being mindful that it's not all going to be perfect every day. It's not going to go well. Like right now, Princeton's sitting right here next to me, and I'm finna reach over because he acting like he can't do the work while I'm on the phone, right? Or on the call, on this stuff here with y'all. But yeah, just I wrote down my routine and really start to, and I'm like, this is the perfect time to actually get down a good, healthy routine. And like making my food before and not trying to just snack and find food when I'm feeling hungry during the day. And I've been writing down what I'm eating, you know. So I'm like, if this is like, I'm trying to take it, this isn't it for me. I'm not looking at this time as, you know, a time where like, oh my gosh, the world is gonna end. And I'm looking at like, this is an opportunity. This has been a reset for me, like totally. This has been a reset for me with a lot of things, and it's given me an opportunity to get a lot of things in my ducks in a row. I literally have paid off all my credit cards in this past 6 weeks because I'm saving money on stuff. I'm seeing where my money's going. I'm like, wait a second. I only $20 in gas this whole time. I'm not going nowhere.
Right. So, yeah. So no, that is great because I believe in a calendar. Like I believe that to write everything, schedule everything, and of course being gentle with yourself when things don't go accordingly. Right. But set daily goals, set weekly goals, set monthly goals. Right, forecast, and then if things don't happen on that day, then move it to the next day. Right. And just prioritize what's important. So yeah, this is a great time for those that's always on the go, to just have that time and kind of like, okay, look, readjust, right, reset, like you said. This is a great opportunity. It's all about the perception, right? We can look at this and say, hey, this is the worst experience, you know, I can't go nowhere. Or you can be like, okay, I can't go anywhere outside, but I can get this stuff together. I'm saving money. I could pay this stuff off so that when the world does open up, oh, it's on and popping, right? So it's all about the perception of how you're looking at things.
No doubt. Well, you know what we say, you know what we've been calling that Black Civic Network, that this is kind of like the exposure virus. It's kind of exposed all the flaws, all the holes where everything was at. You know, when you think about even how it attacks the body, it's attacking the weakest part of the organs that are in the most stress, right? And it's also exposing the breaches, whether it's in your personal or your professional life. So if you needed if you're not getting paid during this moment and your job lets you go, then you should be thinking about like, man, I probably should have left that job anyway, right? So you to figure out how you can get your skills sharpened and find you some different employment. The other side of it too is if it's not about, that, what about your relationship life? Are you dealing with people who was calling you 24/7 before the crisis, and have you talked to them since then? I know someone said that if you expect people to check up on you during this time, you're narcissist. It's like, no, if I was checking up on you beforehand and you know that it could be life or death and you're not checking up on me, it's not narcissism to have that expectation. Really, that's a human, human beings. We should, if I care for you, if you've been looking out for me, I should be calling on you. Hey, you alive? Because the one thing I definitely need to make sure of, because if we go back outside, if I'm gonna need you again, I should be in favor, right? Like, yo, hey, I can bring you some toilet paper. I could bring you some Lysol. Hey, matter of fact, yo, you need your grass cut? Like, whatever it is, man, we need to be making sure that we keeping that communication so you can start really profiling your friendships and then your love life. Are you really dealing with people who want to be in a relationship with you? And you can tell by those situations. I mean, if you're in quarantine and you're calling somebody more than they're calling you, then more than likely that person don't want to necessarily deal with you. So you have to make sure that you know what I'm saying, you definitely want to do a full assessment. So that's what I've been doing. I've just been assessing everything and been getting some good writing in too. I'm working on a couple of screenplays. I'm working on, funny, this is crazy. Before COVID, I was working on this the screenplay called Produce Your Love. And Produce Your Love is all about meeting people at the grocery store in certain aisles and how you would date that person based off of the section in the grocery store.
That's so cool.
Right. So if you meet somebody in the junk food aisle, you know, hey man, she might be thick, but yo, it might be just crazy, like just pandemonium at home, right? That's
right.
That's Miss Susie Q for real. So you know, like just writing that. And so now going through this whole aspect, the only place you really can meet people now is at the grocery store or Walmart because there's no other places that's open.
When I tell you, my friend dressed up to go to the Walmart the other day, like she was gonna go to the 7 Sushi Bar. I was like, sweetheart, that's.
Hey,
I'm like,
so let's go back, right? Because again, coming from a mental health background.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, and then I want to also address the whole dressing up to go somewhere because you see me. Okay, this is how I am. Monday through Friday. Maya's like, where you going, Ma? Look, whether I have a Zoom call or not, I'm getting up, brushing my teeth, I'm getting dressed, hair is done. Okay, I can still take selfies from morning to night because I'm ready.
Right.
Okay. Right. So that's a good healthy regimen to get dressed. And look, don't let your clothes go to waste. I just got some boots. I was wearing my boots in the house last week. Don't play. So getting back now to the whole assessing relationships based off how they're communicating right now. Mm-hmm. You have to understand that everyone copes differently, right? No doubt. So prior to this, they might have been the outgoing, like, okay, let's reach out because we're going to go hang out and have a good time and checking on you, make sure you're good. But now they might be going through loss of employment. They could have lost a family member. They could be stressed, anxiety with themselves, their family, constantly worried about if they've contracted the disease and all that, right? All these things could be going on through their minds, emotions, right? All these things could be going on through their minds and through their emotions and how their behavior is shutting down. Right?
That's true. Go ahead.
So then how can you blame them during this time of how it is that they're reacting?
I don't think you should do blaming. You should assess what's best for you. It's not about the other person. There's people that you want in the foxhole with you, and there's people you don't want in the foxhole with you.
Right.
You have to ask yourself,
I definitely believe that.
So at this time, you're in the foxhole. You know exactly. Crisis actually brings about a lot up with people. There's people that can rock with you solid while you got everything good going for you, but you get in a crisis. You need to do an assessment on those crises. So you need to be assessing people. Now, because you're assessing them, don't make these bad people. Like, I'm not saying blame.
So you're assessing people?
You're assessing them and how they fit in your life.
For me, and I definitely understand what Thomas is saying, because for me, like, I have people like that, and it's like, okay, with the situation going on, with this crisis going on, this is a global crisis, it's not individual, right? But the effects of the global pandemic are individual based on the relative issues that each individual person is having. But if before this happened, we were on that level where you could tell me like, hey man, I'm kind of stressed out right now, I'm not feeling that, then articulate that. But if not, and you're just kind of just dead silent, even though you're going through those things and stuff like that, or for me, if I don't feel like I can express things to this person, but this person has always been, before this COVID stuff, has always been around me in my life and things of that nature, I am definitely going to start to reassess how I deal with you, and I'm going to treat you accordingly after we come out of this.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, because I got a few people who, like I got my brothers in my circle that we talk to every day. And sometimes like my brother Adrian, he hit me up Sunday, he hit me up yesterday. I haven't gotten back to him. I called him today, but we talk, right? And sometimes I hit him up a few times and then he'll call me a day later or 2 days later, right? But we're still staying in contact regardless. The regularity of how we are checking on each other is same. There's some people, man, that used to hit me up, ask to borrow money, hit me up and ask for what have you, anything, right? And you stand up and you be that friend, and you haven't talked to those people during that time. And I'm not mad at those folks, but what I'm saying is you have to assess and prioritize things different because it exposes your relationships. And it's not about those people. It's about you making sure that you can survive. Because if it's a round 2 of this virus, now you should know from round 1, if there's a round 2, this is who I'm moving with, this is who I'm not moving with. and you have to assess whys. One of the things I feel like, especially with Black folks around the globe, and Dr. John Henry Clark, he talked about this. He said that we are naive politically, and I believe that in the private life as well. We always believe and assess that you just do things and you don't expect for good karma to come back your way. And I say, if you don't get reciprocation, you're going to be the first one burnt out. And when you burnt out, you become bitter towards people. And then when you talk to some of our people, they honestly believe that you should do for them just because they are them. And that's not the case. No, it has to be a strong reciprocation in a relationship in order for it to be a good relationship.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that is definitely a good thought process to have when it comes to relationships, at least creating healthy relationships, right? But my thing is, COVID shouldn't have been that baseline.
Well, COVID just exposes it. No, COVID exposes it.
Well, the example you gave was somebody who was hitting you up before for money or for you to give them something, right? It wasn't
in some aspects it was reciprocated as well. You know, I ain't just okay. Jesus saves, Thomas don't. So you know. so I mean, you know, we just got to make sure we get that corrected there. You know. So, but at the end of the day, it's when you, I would say, this is what I've been telling all my friends and family. This ain't the time to hold a grudge towards people.
Definitely not.
If you're the type of person that's holding grudge towards people that you love and care for during this time. If you're I'm cutting people off person at this time, I don't want you in the foxhole, because I understand if it gets worse, you're going to be the main person that's going to make sure that we're going to be depleted, because we got to deal with whatever your behavioral issue is. We're going to have to deal with that. And we don't need me people in crisis. We need we people and not me people. So I feel like that's where you start doing your assessment. You may already seen it, but you never seen them in a pandemic before. You never seen them in a calamity before. So now you're able to see what's going on. And those people who you see are they're more about themselves first. You have to kind of just assess. You got to make the assessment. Not saying that they're wrong. There could be things in their life where they have to go for self, but they may not be the best people for you in the foxhole. And I'm not saying it's a one size fits all. I'm just saying that you should be assessing every part of your life, your relationship with your children. I know Sister Adrian, she works over there at NAS. I know there's people complaining about being home with their kids. If those kids are bad now, their ass was bad before all this, and you just weren't doing your job, and now you're stuck in the house, and you see why those people were calling you every 2 days about your child. So now you can complain about them.
Exposing, just basically exposing, like, and that's real, because I am hearing that. I have some families who are actually like, man, I'm so grateful I'm actually being able to see what my kid needs, and I'm actually able to support them. But there's the people who can't support their kids because they don't have one family I work with in particular. She's not really like technically inclined with, like, you know, with the technology and things of that nature, and she's getting frustrated with the teacher. She's getting frustrated with her scholar. And I told her, I said, let's look at what we can control, what you can control. I'm like, are you saying these things because you're not comfortable with the technology? And she just was like, yeah. And it's like, okay, so are you having trouble supporting your child because you have trouble with the technology? You can't put that all on the teacher, you know? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, then you have to, in that moment, though, put on your thinking cap, stop stressing out, and say, what do I need to do the best to support my kid? You got me, you got other people. What do you need to support your child to make sure that you busy getting mad, cussing at me about something that you don't know? And it's okay that you don't know. Right. You know, I'm going to create this space for you to be vulnerable and say you don't know, but let's move forward now. Now you said you don't know. How can I support you so you can get what you need? Or do you need to call the teacher? Do you need some verbiage that you let the teacher know, like, hey, I'm not comfortable with the technology. Can I get some workbooks instead? Or, you know, have those conversations. But it's definitely like they driving their parents crazy. These parents ready to take these kids to the crisis center, and they ain't even open.
I mean, it's their Frankensteins. It's what they cultivated. And when they were getting those calls, they were blaming the schools. And, you know, with the charter school system now, parents are able to take the little boy or the little girl from this school to that school to the other school if they're not liking the feedback, if the schools put it back on them. So now with being exposed, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means it's things that you have to fix.
Yep.
What I feel like what social media and other things have allowed us to do is operate with a lot of these major flaws because we don't have to take ownership. Now you have to take ownership of how things are going for you. Like when I was talking about the friendship situation, that has nothing to do with the other person. That's an assessment for self. How did you allow that person to get space in your life? Now you have to now you have to assess yourself, and that exposes who you are and your flaws.
There's a lot of people who are not comfortable with sitting by themselves at this time because they don't like themselves. They don't like themselves at all.
Right.
I'm basking in this, okay? Do you understand me? I love it. I'm like, woo, stay home forever. But I've done the work. 2 years ago, if this would have happened, it would have been, Candice, you know me, it would have been a shit show. I've done my work for me.
Right. So I think this is a great time in our lives to kind of do that wellness check, right? How are we managing doing our mentally? Because as you said, there are individuals that, now they're self-assessing, right? Are they? Because, before maybe they had a lot of friends and now all of a sudden there's no one calling. So then that's like self-reflecting, like, okay, was it me? How come no one's checking on me? Why am I all my friends, right? Also, again, self-analyzing on, how was my parenting? Because I thought I was doing a great job being a parent, right? But now I'm seeing for myself what my struggles are. So again, taking this time to do a wellness check on myself, or, see what it is that the areas that you can improve on, how you can improve on it, and taking control of the areas in your life that you can control. Such as, okay, now I'm not that good at technology. What's out there? Right? Maybe my kid can show me how to do different things on the computer. Right? So not using this time to, again, it's about your perception. Not using this time to do the woe me's, but what is it that I can do to improve and be successful in this area, right? So I can cope through it.
What's your new normal? I think everyone should be asking themselves consistently, what will my new normal be like once this is? Because that's a part of the assessment. First you find out where the breakdown is, then you try to figure out ways to strategize to fix that, but also project where would you like to be. My thing is always, if this happens again, what position will I be in compared
We're not gonna talk that, okay?
Well, no. Hey, listen, prepare for. Hey, listen. You hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst.
Right. But we talked about manifesting. We're not gonna manifest that in the air.
What I'm seeing, the struggle is there's a lot of struggle with change management. So I designed a curriculum on change management specifically, and when you talk about survival of the fittest, I always think it's the strongest that survives or the smartest. No, it's who's able to adapt to the change. In order to be able to adapt to change, you have to have those proper supports in place, and you have to have those proper expectations. So when we're talking about expectations of COVID, the expectation is going to go away, but the reality is it may not. So I think what the issue is during this COVID time is there is a lack of expectation. People just don't know, and that's where people are getting stuck. But when there's no expectation, you have to show gratitude to what is there and start paying attention to those opportunities. And people are not doing that. They're just stuck on because there's no expectations. So that's the issue.
Well, I will say this, on a business, personal, and even on a professional level, I believe it's what they call a lack of leadership.
Yeah.
You think in the past, with past generations and our parents' generations, they've always had leaders that kind of led them through times like this. So it kind of formed like a collective group thought on how to move in best practices, right? And if you think about, our generations on down, how we think, we're more individualistic. I'm going to do what I want to do, how I want to do, until you have a calamity like this. And now as an individual, when you're talking about adapting, people are having a harder time to adapt because the habits of, hey, I still need to get my hair and nails done. Hey, I want to still go hang out on the block. Hey, I miss these parties. Hey, I miss this. And they are having a hard time adapting. And what you're finding out, what's getting them, while a lot of people, like in New York, when they were saying the folks that were contracting it the younger people, they said they were still hanging out on the corner, still smoking weed with each other, still drinking with each other. Some of them were still going to like underground clubs with each other. And those people, it was because of their habits. They couldn't adapt when they was told that they had to sit still. So I feel like that's what we're missing out at this point. We're just missing out. It's okay to follow sometimes. Sometimes you got to follow directions. If I'm talking to Candice and Candice is giving me best practices on my mental health, I'm taking it because she's a mental health professional, that she's going to give me good advice and I'm going to follow that advice versus saying, man, forget that. I'm going to do it my own way and then call her when I'm in crisis mode.
Right. So again, playing devil's advocate with a mental, right?
Devil don't need
How
no
we
advocate.
see it. So those individuals, what you're saying that possibly cannot adapt, maybe they're just in denial.
Well, that's a part. Right? That's a part of lacking in adaptation, though, is being in denial. Most times when people are, I'll give you a prime example. I know people hate using this person in examples, but I'm gonna give you this example. This is a historic example. So let's take Hitler in World War II. He possibly could have won the war, but because he was so caught up in creating inventions, they would create mass producing these special cars, special planes, special this, special that. When they were getting their tail kicked, he never adapted. That's why they ended up losing the way that they did. They already had a technological advance, so they were the smartest, as Adrian would put it, inside of the war, but they couldn't adapt, and other armies adapted and they found their weakness and exposed it. So sometimes, even though, you're saying that, man, maybe I'm just having a hard time doing this, you have to ask yourself, is it mandatory that you do it? Because sometimes if you're sick and you're in the hospital and they say you can only drink clear fluids, if that's what it means to get out and to live, you're going to drink those clear fluids, right?
Right.
So we're talking about a disease and we're talking about, everyone knows that this is life or death, right? And we're seeing people die in real time. Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about life or death and we're having a hard time adapting, I think a lot of it comes from what we're talking about, accountability. Mm-hmm. Because someone else forced you in the hospital to take the clear fluids. That's why you got out. You wouldn't have done it on your own. So can you adapt right now by yourself without someone forcing you to do it? And that's why it's not the strong that survive, but the adaptability types that survive.
When you say that too, what I hear as well is especially when you spoke on the lack of leadership, and also I feel like that's a cultural thing in America. Well, not even America, as far as the world has been indoctrinated to this European mentality of individualism, and we are not people who are we're naturally social people. People are just naturally supposed to be social human beings, especially African American people. And so I'm looking at the American culture and I'm seeing why COVID has taken over America. Look at all these other countries. We have the highest number. We have almost half of the world's cases because the culture that we are living here, it's like in other countries, people are banding together like, no, they're listening to their government. We've always been, we're like the rebellious middle child of the world. America is.
Well, we run under capitalism.
Exactly. And that's the problem.
Capitalism is the problem because capitalism means you have to capitalize off other people's weakness. So exactly. You're seeing people are having to buy tissue. Look how much tissue then went up. At a time when you see people need vitamin C, look how much vitamin C has went up or is not on the shelves. Think about all of the essential things that you need to beat this virus, how high our groceries done went up. Meanwhile, the price of gas, remember that was like $2.79, $2.89. It went down all the way to $1.39 in some places. So you see how capitalism works, and that's reflected in our personalities. So in these other places, they practice things like socialism. Ooh, that's bad. Or communism. Ooh, that's bad. But the thing with those particular, those typical economic models is that they can't make it without each other. So you have to have other people to make it. In capitalism, you just try to consume as much as possible. So in America, we have such a consumer type personality, and it's ingrained into our mental space. So what we think about more so than anything else, than any other group, is consume, consume, consume. What I would like for Black folks whether you're in the US or around the world, is stop thinking about being a consumer and start thinking about a producer. So that's why I was talking about the dating app. Instead of you thinking about how you're going to get on the app and find somebody to date, no, you should be trying to be the matchmaker. You should be the one trying to create the app so you can make the money off of, and then you can also create the relationships that are healthier in our community. So
that sounds like, I didn't want to cut you off, but there's a guy, he created an app and he put himself, he was the only person on the app. On the dating app. He was the only man on the date who could get on the dating app.
Oh,
that was crazy. Yeah, he created his own app.
Hey, is it working for him?
I don't know. I didn't follow up the story, but I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna send it to you.
Man, I might have to follow his track. Straight up. Be the one only guy. 1,000 women on there, like different hats, poses, beard, no beard, hair, no hair. Like, I'll be with it, man.
Look. That's how you increase your probability, right?
Hey, man, it's virtual dating. Listen, man, I changed that background up for each date. You know what I'm saying? Candles, no candles, mountains, no mountains, whatever you need, girl, I got you.
Yeah. But no, I definitely understand what you guys are saying coming from a business aspect, right? But again, we have to understand that not everyone is equipped to adapt. Not everyone is equipped to cope through this and to think logically during this time, right? Like you were talking about developing something during this time. Everyone doesn't want to do that overthinking and overworking of the brain and being productive, because, and it's not even that they don't want to, they're not capable of doing it, right? So again, it goes back to expectations. So we can't expect someone to do the things that we would normally do, or what we have learned to do, or how to adjust.
Well, like my brother O always tell me, my brother Olu, he always points out to me that in a lot of aspects, African Americans and Africans in general around the world has been cut out of what we call leadership process. So they're never in the driver's seat. They're always in the passenger seat or in the back seat most times. So it's hard. Some of us have personalities where we know, like, hey, I'm just going to drive. Like Adrian got that personality. She's going to be a driver. She ain't going to be in the passenger seat, right? Mm-hmm. Knowing her for a while, she's always been a driver in some form of fashion, right? So she's going to drive, right? So you're going to drive too. I'm going to drive. And the thing is, no, everybody's not going to drive. But I will say at this time, even if you're not going to drive, it doesn't mean that you can't be a part of a team that can get you to a space. We have to learn how to be team players as well.
Definitely.
We play for other people's teams for a very long time. That's the other part about the exposure. If you like the position that you're currently in during this crisis, if you like where you're at in isolation, hey, stay doing what you're doing. But if you're in an uncomfortable state, and if you were in an uncomfortable state before this, don't just see it as a crisis, see it as an opportunity. And what I always say to people is take advantage of the opportunity before the opportunity takes advantage of you. And, adapting is hard sometimes. Hey, even myself, I have a hard time adapting with things. Like I said before, the online dating, that just won't be me, man. I don't care. COVID could be around for the next 2 years. I'm not online dating. It's not going to be my thing. I might play with it for a quick second, but man, I'm going to be the first to quit it and be done with it, because I know who I am, and I know, man, the grocery stores are still going to be open. So I'm going to see somebody in the produce line. I'm going to my story coming through. This is what it boils down to. But I'm just saying that we collectively have to look at our problems and start coming up with our issues and start in your city. I was saying this to a friend of mine yesterday. I'm like, we got all these, it's the political season coming up. How come we're not seeing these candidates doing debate forums while we're all in the house? If I don't see you debate anybody or give any presentations, you're not getting my vote when it comes to ballot time. I don't know who you are and what you're talking about. You got my attention right now. All right, this is the best time for you to get all of our attention. If you're not going to do those things, we need to start. That's why we have to start saying, hey, this is a great, you got all of our attention. You're never going to have my attention, because once they open up outside, none of us, I think Facebook will probably go through an outage where nobody will be on for the next 6 months, because we're going to be back socializing with each other and having a good time with each other. So I feel like if you got the opportunity, even my organization with Black Science,
come back.
We got to have everybody put in a place where we're trying to navigate this social media thing right now. But once it's done, man, it's face to face.
Right. No, I definitely agree that there is going to be, what's that?
Say, Coach Candice, face to face.
I mean, hey, as I said, there are people again they're built this way, right? They're built to want that face to face. So they're going to again run out as soon as the world goes back to being open. They're going to be the first to go out. Look, I'll be the first one to catch a flight. While there's going to be other people that's like, okay, we're going to wait for like a good 6 months to a year to see what happens. So again, there are some people that's just built to handle and built to cope and adapt. And then there are others that, they have to they need a handheld on how to walk through and get through this situation. But you made a great point, is utilizing the resources. We all have resources, right? So it's actually taking the opportunity to extend our hand and say, hey, I need that help.
Yeah.
And that's a problem for some people that I've seen in the work that I do. There's a lot of pride that comes with people not asking for help.
That's in our culture.
I'm sure you guys have all heard, they said people who are afraid to ask for help, that's a response to trauma, because there's a time when they did ask for it and it didn't happen. Yeah. But if you are someone who is persistent, that help is going to come as long as you are persistent with asking for it. Right. And I feel like that comes with adapting. Like, I feel like everything that happens is learned, and everything and how we respond is how we adapt. If I can go knock on the same doors, but I'm gonna come and knock different at different times when I'm asking. I'm going to get what I need. Some people just don't have that tenacity and that drive to keep going, and that's because of things they've experienced or and I don't know. I can't be like that. I'm gonna get what I need, by any means necessary.
Right.
And I think that's a good drive to have. And also, to me, I feel like this is a good time for us as a community to kill the gossip culture, because I feel like the gossip culture is a lot of reasons why a lot of us are at odds with each other. You might have neighbors who could be helping each other during this time, and because they've been at odds with each other over gossip or over mean things being said about each other, I feel like this is the upliftment time. So you try to figure out ways to uplift each other. You try to figure out ways to find a balance in your life. But, like I said about it being an exposure, it's going to expose all the flaws that are wrong with us, the government, your business, what have you. So we just have to, just take it, analyze it. And for those people who have those coping issues, right? Because we just seen in Milwaukee, it was a brother who just killed, I want to say 5 folks yesterday. Most of them were teenagers, and one was a 41-year-old.
Wow.
It was the father, if I'm not mistaken. It's a hard time for a lot of people coping. People are struggling out here, and we got to respect that too. It's always there's always people who are under stress, and what I always say is we have to keep our eyes open for those people, because sometimes the best thing that you can ask a person is, how can I help you?
Yep.
Not what's wrong with you, but how can I help you? Because
how can I help you? How can I support you?
Yeah.
And be okay as a person who's asking how I can support you, that you may not be that person that can support them. Because there's a lot of people that take on codependency. Like now I'm taking on, now something's wrong with me because I'm not able to assist you. No, you're just not that person. But you can be that person and stand next to them and say, okay, can we, who can it be? Or things of that nature. There's a lot of people who get stuck in that codependent loop, and then we talk about getting burnt out because they feeling things are not reciprocated.
Right. Yep, that's true. So then that goes back to the other person, that they might have some issues and challenges that they have, right? That's setting myself on fire so somebody else can be warm, and I'm burning and depleting myself so that somebody else is getting all this energy that I'm unable to get.
Yeah, that's why you got to do that self-assessment at this time. Don't take it as, don't take it as a time like you're being punished. Take it as a time like it's a time out to get yourself together and come out with something better. That's been my thing. I said, man, I'm not coming out of this the same. Like when I walk out of this, man, it's going, when you see me, it's going to be a different type of lingo or conversation.
All right.
Matter of fact, I guess while I'm on this right now, I might as well say, that's why I'm running for president of the NAACP. Because you know what I'm saying, like I said before, man, I'm not playing no games with folks. I told y'all, man, things that when we start talking about change and how we're gonna change things with ourselves as a people, there's a couple things around this city and state that I feel like, you know, we as a collective, we should be focusing on. There's some major lawsuits that I feel like our people across the board are being discriminated against, whether it's on the state level, city level, on the school level, what have you. And we need our institutions and organizations that are legacy institutions and organizations to step up. So that's why I decided that I'm gonna go ahead and throw my hat in the ring and run for it, because I feel like it's not about anybody who's in the leadership position right now. It's all about making sure that we go in a direction that I feel like is productive for our people. And that's what I'm saying, you know, not coming out of the same. I could tell you what's wrong, or I could show you how to fix it. And I feel like we're sitting back and watching and analyzing things. I'd rather show folks how to fix things more so than tell them what's wrong. That's what's going to be different about me coming into that.
Yeah, this is a lot of conversations that's happening. It's just like, how long are we going to talk about it? We got to do something.
Yeah.
We have to
Be the
do
change,
something.
right? Be the change that you want. So
I have to hit you up, Thomas, because I'm interested. First of all, I don't even know how to even become a member of the NAACP. I can go look up that information.
You got to register online.
Huh?
You got to register online through the national chapter, and $30 for a year. But the NAACP, man, you know what's crazy? A lot of people don't know that the NAACP, the second chapter, was started inside of St. Paul, right? Historically, and they were like, man, the NAACP in Minneapolis used to go hard on the city and the state. If you said the NAACP, they went running it the other direction and they give you whatever you wanted. We have to get back to where people fear us as a unit, because they no longer fear us anymore. You know, so we have to get into that aspect where we're saying, hey, if we see that you're not giving us the resources that we need, you know, you got organizations like the Y that's taking money out of the Black community, and no one's even questioning why is the YWCA or the YMCA saying they're doing job trainings, but it's not our people that's getting the training. And I've seen it at the state capitol, where they were saying, hey, we don't walk. This is a senator saying we done walked into the Ys. You say that you get millions of dollars for this training. We don't see any advertising for you guys telling people to sign up for it. So why are we constantly giving you the money? Now, if it was a Black organization that was getting money, that wasn't advertising,
they shutting them down.
They shutting them down ASAP, and they're gonna make a mockery out of you and throw somebody in jail. Yep. So these are the things that I'm seeing working for Black Civic Network. And it's just a few other things, even with the African American Family Organization Act, stuff like that. You know, there's parents right now who are still, child protection services are being called on parents right now, even during this COVID situation. So they're still removing babies out of homes. They're still taking babies from mothers at the hospital because they said, hey, you got a child protection service case for 2 other kids over here. And this 3rd kid, we don't know what you're going to do, but we're going to take this baby. So we just have to get things right. And like I said before, whatever it is, whatever, you know, if it's your mental health, your physical health, what have you, take this time. You know, if you can only take 1 step a day, that's a step of progress. You don't have to take 100 steps. And sometimes I feel like what happens with social media is that people show you, like I see some of the sisters complaining. They're saying, oh yeah, you talking about weight loss and tea, but you ain't telling folks you done got a tummy tuck, a butt job, a breast job, lip job, nose job. That's how you are what you are. It has nothing to do with the tea you're selling.
Right.
Squats you trying to tell me that I need to do. You know,
you went down to the Dominican Republic for $5,000 and got it all done.
Exactly. And now you're trying to sell it to somebody else like, oh, you just got to exercise harder. No, we need to see the steps. We need to see the struggle. And that's what I hope we come out of this with, being more authentic. You know, we can be more authentic coming out of this. I think that we'll be happier as a people. And Candice, I believe our mental health will be better if we can be real.
Yeah. I agree. Authenticity, I can't talk right now. And transparency, right? Those 2 will aid us in becoming better individuals.
Very true.
Well, we are coming to a wrap. I appreciate both of you guys. I appreciate you hopping on, Adrian and Brianna, although you were quiet in the back. So yes, thank you all.
My bad, I'm working.
I understand, I get it. I appreciate you nonetheless. So we are going to log off now, and we will catch you next week. Continue to practice self-care, right? Continue to intentionally reach out to others. Take care of yourself, handle your business, and be gentle with yourself. Be
And
gentle.
And create that
I'll
social
stay
media,
safe.
keep that money.
Stay
What's
safe
that?
and sanitized.
Right. Stay safe, stay positive.
All right, y'all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.